Welcome to another episode, y'all, of your Peak Life podcast. DJ Julian Rivera here. Edgar the Sphere Nunez. I know you missed him, but you can't miss him, if you know what I'm saying. But it's not about us. It's never about us. It's always about the special guest that we have here today. Sitting to my right, your left, you might know him, but let me just give you a little backstory. Okay, former Bigger Pockets podcaster, former police officer, current investor, in real estate, GOAT, in town, teaching everybody in the entire 7 cities for like 10 days in a row, killing it. And more so, importantly, he's on the show right now because the one and only David Greene is here. We're going to pick his brain. We're going to talk more so. We might learn some things, but more importantly, we're going to be real transparent. And that's what I like because there's no secrets. The biggest secret is no secret. That's what we say. David, thank you for being here.
Thanks, man.
And also, I want to give a big shout out to my man, local Chris Lloyd. All right, in real estate, rocking and rolling, launched the brokerage, kicking ass. And to be fair, I'm going to let him explain himself what he's doing because he has a lot of reasons why David's in town, but more importantly, he does a lot of stuff when David's not here. So they're partners. They work together. We either get 2 for 1 today because usually you have one guest. So Chris, David, appreciate you guys being here.
Thank you.
All right.
Hey, guys.
So I'm going to start with you, Chris. Who's Chris? Who are you? Let our audience know who the hell you are.
Absolutely. So a little bit about my background. I was local to Hampton Roads. Left the area for college, came back, and started working at the shipyard. You know, so many people around here work at the shipyard.
Newport
right?
News?
Exactly,
Yep.
yeah, Newport News. So I was really frustrated with the trajectory of that career, personally, and so I started to get into real estate investing. One of the catalysts to that was this guy right here. So I started learning about the house hack strategy to save more money, prepare for retirement, and that's when I just got the bug. So started investing in real estate, got the real estate bug, decided to get my license, worked up to where I'm in now, and had the awesome opportunity of meeting David probably about a year and a half ago.
Nice.
And we decided, hey, let's get together. And he wanted to start a real estate brokerage and was like, hey, how can we help? And we decided to launch in Virginia about last October.
Yeah,
Nice.
Here we are.
Yep.
Sorry, so that's a good quick synopsis. There's so much more to you, Chris, but that's good. quick in and out. And if you don't know people, David Greene, can you tell us your story really quick? Who is DG?
Man, I had no intention of ever ending up here. I fell in love with basketball when I was a young kid.
Who's your team?
You're not going to like it.
Surprise me.
The Utah Jazz.
Ain't nothing wrong with it. Little Stockton and Malone. That's fine.
But in today's era, that's not a very popular.
Touche. All right.
I like the way they played basketball. Then I was a big fan of the Spurs when they had Tim Duncan and
Yep.
Tony
Yeah.
Parker. And then the Warriors when, not so much now, but when they were just amazing, moving the ball, playing really good defense. I'm a fan of basketball. So
Right.
Okay.
I was never a fan of the best athlete on the court. Because,
Yeah.
Those are all great teams. I mean,
Yeah,
But
they
the
played
sport.
the game the right way.
You love the sport.
I love the sport. I love
good.
the chemistry of it. I love ball movement. I love the strategy combined with the physical movement. I think that's like what makes sport really fun is when you're thinking and using your body at the same time. That's kind of the foundation of which I learned the first time in life that if I work really hard at something, I could improve my position in life. I think I was just kind of like hopeless before that. And then I ended up graduating college, had no idea what I wanted to do. I had some fraud investigators that came by my senior year to say the Department of Health and Human Services was hiring, and I didn't graduate. It was like a week behind when you could apply for the job, and so I was bummed out. And my grandma had said, well, the sheriff's office is hiring. I was like, yeah, maybe I'll just try that and see where it goes. Had no idea how hard it was to get through an academy or get hired, or that being a deputy sheriff wasn't just an easy job. And then I kind of got the bug, and it was a very challenging world where at that time, the culture of where I was in Contra Costa County was very, like, there is no excuse for anything. You don't get to make any mistakes at all. One bullet that didn't go where it was supposed to go, or that was fired when it wasn't supposed to be fired, and you could be in jail. 1 second that you hesitate to do something can lead to some victim becoming killed. Like, you need to mentally prepare for what you're going to do in these situations long before you get, and then you need to practice and execute, or practice so you can execute when it comes. And I watch cops that were good dudes that people like that would make the smallest mistake and just would take a lot of heat.
Yep.
I mean, it was like, it doesn't matter if you're your friends or not. You did not do what we needed you to do. Even like you're wrestling with the guy, sweaty, strong, and he lost grip of the guy's hand, and that guy punched somebody else, and they were on that guy.
Damn.
And so in that environment, as a young man, I sort of learned excuses are not your friends. They are comforting, but every time you make one, you are going to slowly kill yourself. And so I worked in that job for a while. The Bay Area turned against law enforcement by quite a bit. There wasn't really any way to get the community and the cops on the same page. They both hated each other. And so I kind of saw the writing on the wall that I'm not making it to 50 in this environment.
Wow.
Like, we're not even really doing good at a certain point, because you just put people in jail and the jail doesn't have room, so they just kick them right back out. When they go in jail, they learn how to be better at being a criminal. So now it's twice as hard to arrest that guy the next time around, right? And I got into buying real estate. I just worked a lot of overtime, like crazy amounts of overtime, save money. This was long before you had podcasts. There weren't even really books that were written about it. You kind of had to know a person to help you do it. And I thought I was buying a lot of real estate, but I was buying like one house a year. Really wasn't a huge deal. But you didn't know anybody that managed a whole bunch of homes. Today, it is super common to meet someone who's like, I got 50 houses. Like, it's not a big deal.
That's true.
That was unthinkable, because they didn't have software to help you manage tenants. You would just be on the phone constantly in the yellow pages looking for plumbers. Like, the internet was new, but you didn't have resources that you could use like we have now, where everything has been efficient and streamlined in a lot of ways. So you can have 50 houses, and you could do other stuff and you have 50 houses. And then, where did I go from there? So I started buying the houses. I listened to this podcast, Bigger Pockets, that Brandon Turner and Josh Dorkin interviewed people on. I joined a group called GoBundance, which was like a wealth building group, and I met Hal Elrod. He wrote The Miracle Morning. You ever heard about that book? It was a pretty big book, like 7-8 years ago. And he had said, oh, you should go on Bigger Pockets. I was just on there. I'll introduce you to everybody. They heard about my story. I got interviewed on there. Show went really good. It was episode 169, and then I became friends with Brandon Turner.
Nice.
Brandon Turner and I became real close. And then when Josh Dorkin left the podcast, the people they tried to replace him with did not have experience working in real estate. They just didn't own any homes. So the podcast kind of started to suck.
Right.
Brandon had this idea like, hey, you and me should do the podcast instead. And so we devised a plan to see if the audience would like me. It worked. Our chemistry and our friendship translated really good on the camera. The show took off. So one of the top business podcasts on all of iTunes. Huge. There weren't a lot of other people making shows. Yeah. And it was a new thing. No one had ever heard that a regular person could own real estate. Like, if you're in it today, it's obvious everybody can have it. You could get 5 of them at one time. But wholesaling was not a thing. Direct mail was not a thing. Like, everything was done on the MLS, or if you just knew people. People would buy big portfolios at one time. They knew Tom, and Tom wanted to retire, so he'd sell 20 houses to another guy that was a big guy in town. But it was kind of like gatekept. It was just a tiny little group of people that knew this. And we were putting this out there to everybody. Like, you can go do this too. This is a high school gym teacher. This is, they work at Target. This is a single mom. And this is how they bought real estate. So those stories, I think, were really inspiring. And I started writing for Bigger Pockets blog. And they really liked me, and they asked me if I wanted to write a book, and I pitched them on long-distance real estate investing, and that did good. And then the second book I wrote for them was Burr, and Burr, like, exploded. That was one of the best-selling books that there was. Yeah. And now I'm an author, in addition to being a cop and a podcast host and an investor, and I never intended to do any of those things. I just kind of, to be honest, I would get frustrated when I listened to other people do things and not do it well. It'd just be completely transparent, right?
Yeah.
I'd read a book and like, that was hot trash. I wasted so much time on a book that did not need to be read. It was clearly
very
written,
vague.
Vague, and for the author's ego. It was about them, right?
Yes.
They want their picture on the front. They want to go hand out the book to people and tell girls at a bar that they wrote a book to get laid. And I couldn't stand it. So I was like, I'm going to write the book that I wish I had read. And that sort of just spread to my whole career. I'd go listen to people speak. I was like, you're fluffy talk that doesn't give me anything useful. When I get up there, I'm going to tell people exactly what I think that they should do. And then on the podcast, I'd hear a lot of inspirational stories and a lot of excitement. And to be frank, I'm not that great of a marketer. I'm not that good at clickbait and getting a good thumbnail made and spreading the story. But I would definitely tell people what I wish someone had told me. This is the reality of how real estate goes. So for those group of people that were listening, my brand got to be pretty big. And then I started the David Greene team, a bunch of real estate agents, and built systems to help agents be able to sell more houses and close more houses. And we had a huge stream of leads that were coming in from people listening to the podcast and read the books. And I think best month we sold 53 houses in a month, but these are like probably $900,000 average sales price, and that was with me and 4 agents. It wasn't a ton of people that were doing that, right? So I learned how to use showing assistants and admin, and I built a system that everybody would be able to do this volume and still give good service. And I started the One Brokerage, that's a mortgage company, and we started doing loans across the country and did the very same thing there. Here's what a processor does, what a salesperson does, what the company's going to do. This is how we're going to support people to build a career. And I ended up just a business person. Never did I intend to be a businessman. Wasn't something I wanted to do. It's kind of like, well, there's this responsibility that's thrust on me, and I got to figure out how to do right by that. And I was just kind of chugging along, and out of nowhere, there was a guy that figured out how to steal title to some of my properties. So somebody in Jacksonville had figured out a little glitch in the Suncoast website, which is where you would register your LLCs in Florida.
Okay.
And he had figured out that the website would allow you to add yourself to other people's documents.
Wow.
You just couldn't erase anything. So he added himself as a manager to the LLCs I had that owned a whole bunch of houses. He paid a notary to say that basically I had signed off on transferring the title of all of these houses into his LLC.
Wow.
He then went around meetups throughout Jacksonville selling my properties for like 25 cents on the dollar to all these people, which eventually got back to me because they were like, hey, you own title to this thing a month ago, and he's selling it to me at this crazy low price. Did you really sell him your properties for this little? And I found out about it. Jacksonville Sheriff's Office got involved. He ended up getting arrested, going to jail. A year and a half later, I got title back, and they were all trap houses. It was a mess. All my HVACs had been stolen. All the copper had been stolen.
Yep.
Mold everywhere. He had gone to the houses and like basically with some goons that were armed and told people, hey, give me the rent. I have the title.
So total
now.
shitbag.
It was
all the way around.
Massive.
Yeah.
So I get them back, and there's insane deferred maintenance. They're not in a position I can rent them out anymore. I sold the whole. Oh, and then I asked Florida about it, and they said, we can't guarantee this won't happen again. We have.
Wow.
It's on the docket to review at next year's meeting if we can change the coding so that it can't happen. I'm like, you're kidding me. Because this guy's probably telling all of his little dirtbag friends, this is how this hustle works.
Right.
Absolutely.
So I sold the whole thing to a hedge fund because that's the only place I could sell the whole portfolio. They wouldn't have qualified for lending. They were in just such bad shape. And then I had to reinvest that money in a 1031 into short-term rentals. I bought a whole bunch of short-term rentals. I kind of went for like grade A properties in the best neighborhoods that I thought was the safest bet. Did really good on the buying. I bought 18 properties over the course of all of them were mostly in the 1031. Then I bought a couple more after that. At the end of the day, I had gained $1 million in equity just in what I paid versus what they were worth. So I was happy about the neighborhood. I was happy about the purchase price. I was happy about the asset class. Then I ran into a problem I've never heard real estate investors talk about that hit me at like 6 different multi-million-dollar houses at the same time. There are areas like Florida where there's legislation in place that prohibits the city from stopping you from running your property as a short-term rental. It's like a business-friendly state. So the state has said you can't tell a Florida resident what they can and can't do with their own property. Their HOAs are kind of restricted from what they can impose on people. That's why I liked Florida. So what the cities did was they would send an inspector to your house to give you the short-term rental permit. Then they would find something wrong with the house to deny the permit and shut your property down. So I had 6 multi-million properties at one time where they said, hey, this kitchen was renovated. We don't have any permits. Yeah, he did it before I bought it from him. Doesn't matter. Your carport was turned into a garage in the 70s. Yeah, every house on the street has a garage. Doesn't matter. You wanted the short-term rental permit. So I had a ton of different cities in different states that all shut my properties down at the same time. And I was under the impression that if you go through the little process of applying for the permit, getting the engineers and the architects to write up your plans, that they would approve it. It was all a ruse. They'll never approve it. I went 2.5 years of making these insane high payments, trying to get my properties back on the market, and they just would not ever get rid of the red tags. So you end up getting, they cut off electricity to the home. Wow. You end up with mold all throughout the house. Yep. It was an absolute disaster. And it came at the exact same time that Powell raised interest rates incredibly fast. So that was right around the time when this all happened. So the amount of transactions that occur within real estate just plummeted. Yep. You guys remember, it's super hard to be an agent when the price of homes doesn't really drop, but the volume of transactions went way down, especially in California,
where the David Greene team
was.
You're talking about that when the interest rates flipped.
And so I went from making a lot of money every month, saving a lot of money every month, buying all this real estate that was supposed to be my venture into short-term rentals. I had a staff that was hired to manage some of these. I had property managers picked out that were going to do it. To all my reserves are getting eaten up every single month making these mortgage payments. The cities keep pretending like they're going to give you a permit that they don't give. And all the revenue from the companies dropped to 15 to 20% of what it was because there's nobody. who's buying houses. Around that same time, the top loan officer from my mortgage company is getting poached by another company. He ends up not telling us, but submitting about 40 loans that were supposed to be one brokerage clients with this other guy's company, and then taking a whole bunch of my staff with him to go over there to work with that. So we lose our top people, our top processors, our top loan officers, and him in this like little, and he took my whole database with him. He took all the realtors I'd been connecting him with for years. This was a kid I met when he was like 21 years old, hustler, built him into one of the top loan officers in the country. Now he's got a big target on his back because all of the production of loan officers is visible to these like companies.
Yeah.
They poach people, right? So they throw a big signing bonus at him and they tell him, hey, you can charge twice as much money per loan as what David's letting you charge if you come over here. This is how we hide it in the closing costs so that the person doesn't see it until they're at the closing table. But we need you to bring this many people over and you can run a branch. So then he takes part of the signing bonus, gives it to the other people that are in the company. They all go over there and now they're making twice as much money per loan as what we're charging. Now the customer's getting hammered twice as bad. Right. But they don't care. They're good salespeople that knew how to sell this thing. And thing after thing after thing just continued to go wrong in ways that like I'd never seen real estate could go wrong. So it was kind of an eye-opening thing in my life where I saw I didn't really do anything technically wrong. I didn't pay too much for homes. I still drive a 2016 Camry. I never was a guy that spent a lot of money. I was living in the same house I had bought when I was a deputy, my first house I ever bought, right? With the FHA loan type of a deal. I never went out and put a bunch of money up my nose or screwed around and did dumb things. And I still saw that like the cities wouldn't let me get my houses back. Your staff can betray you and stab you in the back. Bigger Pockets decides they want to go another direction. That's a whole other talk about like how that kind of came out of nowhere. So now I'm not on the podcast at the same time that all my staff has just left. So now all the other people are like, oh no, are we going to be able to make it if we don't have the Bigger Pockets branding? And it went from everything I touched to gold turned into everything went bad almost overnight. And so there was this like awareness that kind of creeps in that I had worked crazy hard for over a decade and done everything from what I had learned was the right. Now I did make the mistake of buying a lot of houses at one time. There's probably one thing I could look back at and say, if I wouldn't have put that much money in the pot at the same time, this couldn't have happened. But at the same time, I was making so much money every month, I could easily cover the debt. And no one knew rates were going to raise that quickly and that suddenly and out of nowhere, right? It was, I mean, literally from the time I closed on the last house, about 30 days later, that just everything happens, right? I got a big commercial building that I bought with a rate of 3.4, $15 million property. It's cash flowing about 25 grand a month. And then the debt has to be redone on the balloon note and rates are sitting at 9.5 to 10%. And like, no one wants to finance it. The capital markets at that time were like, we don't even know if we want to lend at all. But it's not going to debt service at a 10% interest rate. A massive just disaster that all hit at the same time that I wouldn't have expected, which sort of got me more into asking like when you have everything fall apart and you don't know who to turn to, you go to God because there is no other person to ask these questions of. And so my faith journey kind of changed quite a bit at that point. I started looking at things in the world differently than I had before. I started to recognize that this vision that we would paint for a lot of people of why they should get into real estate maybe wasn't the most accurate that it could have been. I think there's a lot of greed in the industry. I think there's a lot of influencers that are just they'll say whatever they can say because they want to be a little YouTube celebrity for their 24-month life cycle that they can get. It's very hard to get integrity from real estate agents, from loan people, from anybody in the business. It just doesn't pay you to have integrity a lot of the time when we live in a social media world. And so I've just been kind of like steadily plodding through this and selling properties to try to cover mortgage payments for other ones. I spent a lot of time in Tennessee fixing up the short-term rentals that I had out there to try to increase the likelihood of them getting booked. Like it's just a crazy competitive time to be in real estate. And I went from a ton of prosperity to a ton of adversity almost overnight. And so I'm still here. I'm still working. I have more clarity probably about values than I would have had before this has happened. I have a lot more wisdom. I wouldn't have thought that the people that I had helped build up and turn them into very wealthy young people would have felt good making a decision like that and stealing my database. And I mean, they're still closing loans for these people that follow me and they think they're getting a loan with my loan company, right? They're not going to tell anybody that. And I can also say at the same time, I still think homeownership is the best decision your average American can possibly make to try to build wealth. I think I'd love if more people had fewer houses.
Actually, you just said something important right there. So everyone goes through ups and downs, right? There's always going to be that roller coaster of life. And you still stay optimistic about the home ownership market. We have these conversations every day. We're all real estate professionals and investors in this room. And when you're talking to the common person, they are always looking at the rates. They're looking at the price. They're looking at everything, but they can't forecast 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road. Forecasting, not predicting the future, right? Forecasting of what it might be happening. So when I'm having these conversations now with potential buyers or investors or whatever, most of them don't pay attention to the news. All right. And this is just my theory that I'm having here, and I want to get your guys' take on this. We know our good friend, Mr. Jerome Powell, is no longer going to be in his seat anymore. Okay. We know another individual is coming in, and we know that individual is a friend with the person that is running our country right now. This had never happened in our history. My prediction is over the course of the next 12 to 24 months, we're going to see more affordable loans. That's my prediction, only because, let's just say this. If I was me and you are friends, I know you're going to work well, right? I'm going to put you in there. We're probably going to figure something out. And I'm not just talking about real estate. I'm talking about across the board. I'm seeing something that's going to probably pop before the end of a term. What are your thoughts on home ownership over the next 24 months while we have the powers that be in there?
I got two thoughts on this. The first is you're right, because Trump was public about his desire that Powell would lower rates. Too slow, Jerome. You hear all that. He was looking at it. Whether you agree with Trump, you like Trump, try to put that off to the side and just objectively look at what he said. He wanted interest rates lower because he sees the economy is struggling.
Yep.
I tend to side with that perspective, regardless of where it came from. I think we need rates lower, and I think we desperately need jobs. I think, like you said, if you're a real estate investor, you need to watch the news. We give ourselves so much credit when real estate does well, but it's tied to the economy. When the economy is crushing it, housing does well. And when the economy is bad, it does not matter how smart you are. If your tenant loses their job, and no tenants have a job, the smartest investor in the world is screwed. Right?
Well,
Nothing you can do.
Before you bring up the second point, and you lived in the Bay Area, you know, all those companies right now, because of AI, they're laying off tens of thousands of people. And I just think of Palo Alto, Redwood City, all those cities right now are being impacted right now.
That's such a good point. And in the last book I wrote, Better Than Cash Flow, the 10 Ways You Make Money in Real Estate, which is what I'm talking about at the meetup tonight, I get into those economic decisions affect real estate. And we are past the point where you could just look at a spreadsheet, see if there's a cash on cash return, and make a choice. You need to holistically see the environment you're working in, the area that the property is actually in, the demographics. This needs to be a bigger thing that investors look at than just, is it a duplex, is it cash flow?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I think if we look at what Trump has said, I want lower rates. We look at the fact that he has had influence over Kevin Warsh being the new Fed chairman, and Kevin has more or less kind of said, yeah, I think we need to lower rates as well. We are likely to see interest rates come down through whatever means that they have to do. Doesn't mean it's good or bad, just means this is what is probably going to be coming. So we should be prepared for that. The X factor is, will we get people working? Like, I think in all of real estate, I am way more concerned about the job market than all my contemporaries and all the other podcasters. I can't get anyone else to even have a conversation. They'll talk about clicks and views and conversion ratios and what their video did and what thumbnail they're using and A/B conversions. None of these guys pay attention to what's happening.
Right.
That's not how you get seen on the internet, right? And I am so scared that people don't understand. We've had 10 years, maybe 12 years now of quantitative easing, easy work. Being a real estate agent, you got a license, you fell into deals. You went to an open house, you had 3 buyers that showed up. Like, we think that's normal.
Yeah.
The idea of work, like you mentioned, the tech cities in the Bay Area, that's where I'm from. I would go visit buddies that work there or clients who were buying a house from me. They would work like 2 to 3 hours a day, get paid for 8, $140,000 right out of college. Their food's all paid for. They literally would have vending machines. Like, you guys on Twitch, the video game streaming platform. I knew some people that worked at Twitch. They had a vending machine if you forgot your iPhone charger, that you would just go push B4 and it would drop down and you'd have a charger, and it was free. Like, it was just a perk of working there if you didn't bring your phone charger. All of this stuff was what they think is normal. Okay.
My father-in-law's house is in East Palo Alto, and I could see Facebook. He's got one of the last houses in that cul-de-sac, and I saw Facebook. All their employees started buying up EPA or renting them out, right?
That probably made the neighborhood better from what it was.
1,000%.
But now you got to ask, what happens if all those people leave?
Yeah.
If you bought an EPA and you are like, hey, it's gentrifying, it's doing good, values are going up, and then Facebook lays off 40% of their workforce, all the tenants leave, all those people that own houses leave, it plummets into a crime-infested cesspool of depression. You could lose so much money so fast if you don't pay attention to these factors. So I know I've been talking for a long time, but the idea here is we got used to what was normal being way too easy.
Right.
And now that I don't even think we're going into a depression. We're just going back to closer to what life is supposed to be like.
Agreed.
Like we work with real estate agents who think that they showed up at the office and they opened their email and they made a Canva flyer and they texted a buddy and they posted what their outfit was on their Instagram. They called it lead gen. And in 8 hours, they did 5 things maybe that were productive, and they call that a work day, right? These tech workers got so used to having so much money for so little work. It's social programs are everywhere in our country, and people just assume if I don't work, someone will pay for me. That money is coming from someone's productivity somewhere through taxes, okay? And if there's nothing productive to do, if jobs dry up, if there isn't money changing hands, it isn't just like the wealthy that are hurt. It's everyone, man. It doesn't matter how well you did in your deals or how well you bought real estate. If the whole system implodes, everything goes down. And it will probably build it back up. That's usually the way things work. You know, it's like a forest fire that burns everything up. But I wish more influencers would discuss the very real relationship between the job market and housing.
I agree with you. We've had these discussions, but one of the things I started seeing years ago was the tech coming. So we're prior military. We're a veteran-owned company. So we've been traveling the world. We see the tech coming from Korea, Japan, and all these places. And we saw it out there before it even hit the United States. Even like now, you know, self-checkout is like a thing here where it's been a thing since the early 2000s out there. And also truck drivers losing their businesses. The AI is taking over a lot of jobs, and a lot of unemployment is happening. And back growing up, I'm an 80s baby, so we have these conversations where it's like, if I wanted a new pair of shoes, a lot of us, or a newer car or whatever, we had 2 jobs.
Yeah.
I don't recall people just having one job and getting everything they wanted.
Correct, yeah.
There was extra hours put in somewhere else.
I need to go work overtime. I need to go.
That mindset is gone.
I wouldn't say it's gone, but I've kind of graduated that word to the entreployee. Like everybody that has a W-2 job right now has a 1099 income somewhere, or you need to in some way, shape, or form just to create it today. Because even those tech workers that are making, you know, healthy six figures, do they have that backup plan? I'm not sure, but I will say, kind of to what your point was out there, you have all those tech workers working. What if they leave? You know, Chris brought you to the area. Chris is quote unquote selling you on the area just because it's not your area. We have one of the top 25 strongest real estate markets in the country.
That's why we're here.
Because of the military, to be fair. And this is coming from someone that's been born and raised. I know this area like the back of my hand. I call it the trifecta. We have military, we have tourism, and we have history. And there's not one place in the country that has it as strong as we have, but we're still not known. Military, obviously, we gain and lose 300,000 people every year in all branches, you know, Navy, military, or Marines, Coast Guard, whatever. Then we also have Jamestown, Williamsburg. That's where we started the damn country, right up the way. And then tourism, you know, Virginia Beach, just talking about Virginia Beach, we're in the top 10 on the East Coast, but we still have all the other stuff inside. So when we include those in there, now let's add basketball players, Allen Iverson, Michael Vick that came out of the area. Let's add politicians that came out of the area. Let's add some musicians that came out of the area, the Pharrells, the Missies, the Timberlands. Like, there's just so much here that when people come here, they realize, well, damn, I didn't realize it was here. But the thing is, we're still affordable. That's the one thing that is not compared. Like, if we look at the other side of the country, San Diego's the second biggest Navy base, right? But we're looking at affordability. Shit. I mean, we're like 350, 375-ish on average, give or take. They're double that. But income's not that much double or triple over there. A lot more people, millions more. We're only 1.4 at best in the conglomerate. So knowing that coming here and then trying to relay that to people that aren't from here has been one of, I feel, Iron Valley's biggest strength. Same with you, Chris. Just being here, you understand that. But the relatability of conveying that message to people from the outside in happens on a daily basis. It's almost like when you're training. You train the same stuff all at the same time, say it different ways, but the messaging is the same. We have to do that consistently. And now that you're actually investing into the market, into Chris, into the area, how did that partnership grow, or how is it growing so you guys can grow, let's just say, the second chapter of real estate for you?
Yeah, what's your experience been with that?
It's been pretty solid. So one of the things that's really unique to our area, you already mentioned it with the military presence here and people coming and going. I actually haven't looked at the number. You said 300,000 every year?
Yeah.
I believe it. But these are people with incomes that are insulated from a lot of economic ups and downs, that are forced by their jobs to leave or come back in. So we talked a little bit earlier about the number of transactions across the country taking a huge hit.
Yep.
We took a hit here in Hampton Roads.
we're like
we
flat.
all felt that, but it was like that.
Right.
It wasn't as much because our economy, the lifeblood of it is military, right? We've got military money coming in, and then just the nature of the fact that almost every tour is between 2 and 4 years, people are coming and leaving consistently, which keeps transaction volume up. That's one of the reasons that we started Coast to Coast here in the Hampton Roads area, is because despite whatever's going around, the entire country, we're insulated in that regard. We have people coming and going, and we have incomes that are also insulated from a lot of, like with AI really disrupting the tech market right now. We don't have that kind of stuff. We're a shipbuilding industry. It takes 10 years to build an aircraft carrier, right? That job's going to be here from 10 years from today, unless Congress tomorrow says we're going to stop building aircraft carriers.
Not happening.
And the ones that are in process right now, we have a 10-year heads up on this economy.
Facts. That's true. And that's just a small piece of it, too. You know, I mean, let's talk about the contractors outside and all the other ancillaries that have just come. We're the first line of defense for DC. Let's just call it for what it is.
Dollar
you ever seen
Tree
those
corporates
movies?
here?
Yeah, Dollar Tree corporates here. I mean, Amazon's building so much stuff out here. It's crazy, but it's like a slow roll. Like, I never see this area going like this. It's always going to be like this.
Well, since you're investing here, one thing I will bring up, and so since you're from California, or you just live there?
No, I was born and raised there. I just moved recently.
Okay, so you would understand, and I brought up this analogy before. It's not even an analogy; it's a real thing. You being from the Bay Area, you understand the affordability went up, and everybody started moving inland.
Yeah.
So you're gonna hear cities like freaking Suffolk, Western Branch, Suffolk. The same thing is happening here right now, where Virginia Beach, Chesapeake prices are going up so high. Now people are moving inland and doing the travel time, 45 minutes to an hour. All the new construction, all the development starting to happen. Roanoke and all these cities out west are growing rapidly, and that's where I see the growth here. And I don't feel like I'm behind in this area, being from California myself, where it's like Los Angeles, everybody moved to Riverside.
Yep.
By the time I was a grown adult, like everything's over 300 grand.
That's the
400.
pattern of how housing develops. That's exactly right. You start with, I think I talked about in long distance real estate investing. You get a hub, and that's where all the jobs are. That's where everybody wants to be. It's usually some city, and then it gets to be too expensive when the right industry moves there, and then you get suburbs that start to develop.
Yep.
And then as those become too expensive, you just go further away. And then some of those cities will take some of the jobs from the big city, and they'll kind of like, some of them will move over there, and so those people don't have to commute as far. And that's where you get like a secondary market will start to develop. But when you recognize those patterns, it makes the decision of where to buy and a lot easier. When you recognize what's going on with the government and printing of money and economic stimulus and what the plan is for the economy, it makes when to buy a much easier decision. And then all you're left with is what to buy, which is kind of what most podcasts talk about anyways, what asset class to get into.
Right.
Well, you being in this, have you ever looked at like I just stumbled upon this. My parents, well, my mom and my father-in-law are at that age now where they're going to need help. And I'm thinking about buying another property just as a nursing home, basically. Yeah. And then I found out that the country is short hundreds of thousands of beds. And they're trying to make these homes into like medical nursing facilities. Yeah. And just buying and holding and going that route. I'm kind of looking into that. I don't know if you've done that at all.
I have bad luck with operators, man. I think
okay.
I don't want to discourage you from
No.
I think there's something about me being David Greene. It's like when you're a wealthy guy dating, you're going to run into problems that non-wealthy guys don't have. When you're a really pretty girl dating, you're going to run into a problem. Everybody wants to sleep with you, right? It's I don't mean to discourage people, but like me myself, I tend to find people that make promises because they wanted the credibility that came from working with me, but they had no intention of actually like running the asset well or something. So when I hear people that have good partnerships and they're like, this guy's a solid dude, I've known him my whole life, he's from the area, I'm like, that's a good investment strategy if you feel that whoever is running that nursing home will do a very good job.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's what I need to find next.
Yeah, that's the hard thing.
It's a little
right?
important. Just to put that.
No, yeah, and we've learned that from experience. Obviously,
Yes.
we're like, I'm not jumping into that until I get all the data.
I think you said before we got on the podcast, what was it? It's not passive income, it's passion income.
Yes.
Right? So in theory, that's a passion income source that somebody really needs to, whether they have the designations or not, or the credibility to do it, they have to be passionate about it, because then the passion will turn into dollars, right? So I want to ask you a hard question here, but because you're an open book and I love this. You had, actually, before I ask the hard question, when you say that you went all in on real estate, what year was that?
Right around, I think, 2022. I think.
All right, you went all in on real estate. So COVID times, right? What about you?
2021.
Okay. So, and then how old were you when you bought your first house? Or like, what year was it? Excuse me.
I bought my first one the end of 2009.
Okay.
Bought my first house 2021.
Okay. First house.
2007.
All right. So I bought my first house in 2016. And then, so 10 years ago, for me, at least. I say all of that because one of my sayings is get in the room. You have the ideas of doing it, but then once you actually enter, it's like, oh shit, that's all I had to do. Or the light bulb moment happens, okay? So when you have that light bulb moment, some people just chill and they give the one a year like you were doing when you're working, or people can now buy packages and all in. If you're talking to that person right now, if you could go back before all this shit happened, knowing what you know now, what would you have done different, knowing that shit like this could happen and it's a reality that nobody ever talks about?
Okay, this is really good. When I was new, I would have bought more. Okay, because David Greene, with his overtime, with his saving ability, I could have handled more real estate than I was on like one a year, right? I probably would have bought 4 a year.
While you were having a W-2 job?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because property manager, it was California, everything cash flowed in 2009 and 2010 is a great time to be buying.
Yeah, bottom of the market.
You were like, but you didn't know it was the bottom of the market. But what you did know is I could throw it out there and everything cash flows. It's just how much does it cash flow? What's my potential upside? We didn't have a lot of money, but we had a lot of opportunity.
Right.
I would have hit the gas pedal harder. I was scared.
Okay.
I just didn't have the confidence of anyone else around to tell me to do it, and I didn't trust myself.
But was it because it was the time, or is just...
We had just had a crazy
So
crash.
it crashed, 08,
Yeah,
it
08,
crashed,
09,
and then I bought my second house in 2011, so I got it for 220 in San Diego area.
Would you say that exact same thing today?
Yes.
Okay.
100%.
Okay.
I would go harder when you find a good thing.
Okay.
I would pair that with, well, now that I'm buying real estate, my risk is going up a little bit, so I better work a little bit harder at making money. I better be a little more disciplined with saving. Maybe I need my regular job and I need a side hustle where I start selling homes or doing something extra to make up for this risk.
Right.
Where I think with hindsight that I wouldn't do the same is I had hit a point where I owned a lot of real estate and I had a lot of responsibilities. I'm doing several podcasts a week for Bigger Pockets. I'm writing books. I'm running the David Greene team and I'm running the one brokerage. I'm speaking at different places. Like I was stretched thin myself.
Yeah.
So what you do is you then hire people to make up for you.
Yeah.
That all those pillars of people that I put in place that I built everything on, they collapsed and that thing fell. So I would sprint faster to get to my max and then I would recognize I'm at my max. I cannot go any more than this unless I get people that I trust. And I think I was like, there's crazy opportunity. I need a warm body to shove in this thing. I need a partner that can do this, right? Like there's all this opportunity. I've interviewed all these people. This is the best one. And then when it blows up even more, that pillar that probably could have held 20 pounds is holding 200 pounds.
Yep.
And you don't know how that human's going to respond because they've never made that much money. They've never had that much fame. They've never had that much ego, right? Like I had a person one time that told me for every 10 men, there's one that can handle adversity. And I think that's true. And for every 10 of the men that can handle adversity, there's one that can handle prosperity. It is harder to make good choices when you are young and gorgeous, right? It is harder when money comes quick and you've never had it, or when you're a 20-year-old that starts shooting up with steroids and all of a sudden you look better than you ever. Your head gets big and you don't know what to handle. So from my own story, I think I was moving too fast. I believed the people that I had around me were loyal because the version of them I knew was loyal, but what they turned into when they got a taste of what that success looked like turned them into somebody else. And so that's why like it just, the pillars that everything had built on imploded. And then the empire sort of imploded.
So basically you would tell yourself, going back, go harder, faster. Don't wait.
Go harder, faster in the beginning. When you hit your limit, stop.
Yeah.
Don't assume it will just go up and to the right.
Right.
Forever. Now, most people will never get to that point.
Yeah,
so, like, the better advice here is when you find a good thing, double, triple, quadruple down.
So you teach on a lot of things, and house hacking is one of the things that you teach right now. Can you give a nutshell version of how you would construct that to David Greene in 2026, so the audience could kind of copy and paste and remix it
For house hacking?
for any strategy that you would do in this style of market that we're currently in?
That's the next book I'm writing, actually, is how you buy one house a year house hacking.
Okay.
Everyone should house hack one house every year. And then anything else you buy, flipping, whatever, that's in addition to your primary residence loan house hack. I would look for the best area, and I would look for the ugliest, biggest house that had the best floor plan for turning into several different units. I would look for where military people are renting, and I would look for the area that people are moving into, and I know this is my spot, and I would get an agent or a couple agents that were like, I need you to find me something that's hideously ugly that's been sitting on the market that other people don't want for some reason.
Right.
It's got more square footage than people realize or whatever. I would buy it and I would move into it, and I would take myself off the hard money clock. I would take myself off the stress. You got a W-2 job, so you keep working that. And if I was handy, I would fix it up a little bit over time. And if I wasn't handy, I would find subcontractors to come in and fix it up a little bit over time. I'd put people in the bedrooms, or if it's several different spaces, or if it has an ADU, whatever. I would put renters in there, and I would get very accustomed to the management of a rehab, the management of tenants that are in there. And I would just start to feel like, what kind of people are good? Are military people good? Are people off Craigslist good? What goes right? What goes wrong? I'd build a year of experience, and the next year I'd move out of that house. I'd rent out wherever I was living, and I'd buy another one. I'd get a 5% down loan, 3% down loan. You probably got the down payment from that second loan from the money you saved in rent by renting it out to other people. So the first house bought your second house. I do the very same thing, but I'm a little bit better now. A little bit better of an area, a little bit better of a deal. Now I would get a 3-unit instead of a 2-unit or something like that. And I would do the exact same thing. Next year, I do the same thing. I would just know every year I'm buying a house, and so I'm not going to get too comfortable. I'm not going to accumulate a bunch of garbage that I don't need just to be able to feel like I'm cool. I learned how to convert a garage. I look for a house that has a basement that can be converted. Chris is doing this right now in a house that I walked in and knew right away why I bought it, because you walk in and the stairs are looking you right in the eye. You can put a door right there. One goes right up the stairs for one unit, turn to the left. You got the rest of the house. Like $500, you turn that thing into 2 different units. It can vary, and they're not separated by drywall. You put a door in there, so technically, if you ever want to sell that thing, just take the.
So there's a lot of homes in Norfolk like that where small tiny homes, 800. I just sold one off market. Thank you for a connection.
Yep.
So, and it's the very same thing. It's like, think outside the box. You could put the stairs outside, goes to the second floor, because the second floor is wide open.
Yep.
You come into the second
That's
floor, a
what
whole
you look
unit.
for getting started. You're not trying to buy 20 houses in 1 year so you can be famous on YouTube too.
Yeah.
And then as you're doing this, you'll meet more people. You'll come across other investors. You'll come across your real estate agent will introduce you to people. You'll listen to a podcast that someone else listens to, whatever that is, and then an opportunity will come your way that you can take what you learned house hacking and apply it to that. You can flip a house, you can burr a house, you can short-term rental something, and then you don't stop house hacking to go do it. You keep house hacking. That's your bread and butter. That's your foundation. You're accumulating a portfolio for 4% down, 5% down. It's very low risk. You have to live somewhere anyway. Now, if you buy one of these secondary houses, it doesn't work like you thought, but you added value to it, sell it, start over, do another one. I don't love the people that are told, quit your job, burn the boats, go all in on real estate before you really have an idea how this thing should work.
I agree. I completely. I tell everybody, any agent that we're that are part times. I mean, I have some part time agents on my team. I'm like, no. First off, you have good jobs. Secondarily, you like your job. Third, you can do this part time. Part time to me, if you want to be on the highest level, 1 a month. If you can do 1 deal a month, while at having a W job that you like you're fucking winning.
Yes.
So let's just be very clear on that. But one thing I have learned, so 2020, I went all in on real estate. My whole goal was, I'm a DJ, I'm a radio host. Like, I had my company, we were good, retired radio. A month later, COVID happened. I'm like, why did I just leave? Like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah.
But it gave me the one thing that I didn't realize I needed was time, because I'm just going. Like, I'm already spread thin. It's rocking. We're doing good, making good money. 27 venues we're booking, about 50 DJs. Like, we're doing well. But I can't do nothing if the world's shut down. They gave me the time to put the energy I was putting in there into real estate. Now, I still DJ, I still spin, but it's fun. But like, real estate took off. And then I end up linking up with Edgar and Mike and the whole squad a few years later as I'm already being successful. But the one thing that I've learned really in the past 36 months, I'm going to put a percentage on it, bro. I feel less than 3% of agents have every tool in the tool bag to deploy for any client that they're working with. Because most of the time, we were talking about this today on, well, not you, but we were on a coaching call today, and we're talking about, hey, which avenue do you want to teach the agents to get more listings? When it came to me, I literally said, they need to know how to not lose the deal due to lack of knowledge and resources. And because people think, like you were saying earlier, oh, I can just list it in the market, it's going to sell. Nah, bro. Like, if you walk into a hoarder house, you thought it was going to be dope when you walked in there because it looked fire on the outside, and the people told you that. Nah, it's not going to look. Do you have the contractors? Do you have the thought process? Do you have the lens to look and see what an actual rehab is going to be?
We call that real estate goggles.
Like, do you have that?
On and see what you need to do here.
And it just comes from the reps. And everything that I do, I base it back to DJing. Like, I've done more than enough events that I know how to read the room really well and to see what songs are going to work and how I'm going to segue this. It's the same concept that I use in the DJ world. So now, when I'm talking to the agents, I really want to, like, we launched an investor side here at the company now because they need to have these options, especially, let's forget the shape of the house. Short sales, loans, 6, 7, 8% rates, like all this stuff, military, they're coming here and having to leave in less than 2 years. I mean, there's so many things that happen specifically in this market.
Highest rates of divorce.
Right, yeah. Exactly. Deaths, probates. I mean, do you not know what most of them don't know? And it's cool not to know what you don't know, but can you take action to try to know a little bit? Or can you have a resource to people that know or have an idea of what to know? And you know about all of this, but the actuality of the actual regular agent that averages 3 to 4 deals a year, they're not going to do that. And that's a huge percentage across the country. So now, if you are in that top 1%, which I feel all of us here are, how can we give all that information out and or just be that resource where deals just come to us now instead of having to go out there and get them, because we just have the knowledge base. We do that a lot here. You guys already do that a lot here. But from the average realtor getting into the game right now, outside of getting your license, going through the state and whatever, Chris, I'll start with you. What do you think the first class they should take in a 2026, just starting as a realtor now, that is not typical black and white real estate?
Scheduling. I am like all in on the scheduling, making sure that you take control of your schedule, right? You need to have certain time throughout your day blocked out for prospecting, right? That is the lifeblood of this business, is bringing new leads into your pipeline and getting them to the closing table. A lot of people get into the business. One of the first questions I ask every single agent that joins our brokerage is, what's your job? And almost every single time they say to sell houses. Yeah. And I tell them, look, I would have guessed that too, first getting into the business. But I remind them, your job is to be known and liked by more people. And you do that through prospecting. How you prospect is up to you, but you need to make sure you dedicate a certain amount of time every single day to your prospecting. And that is a absolute non-negotiable, right? And if you mentioned part-time, I actually only say dual career talking with our agents.
I like that.
Because I want them in the mindset that if you want this to be your full-time thing, you need to treat it like a full-time business from the day you start. Because we've all seen part-time agents get started, get burnt out because they realize it's harder than it is. So I tell them right up front, this is a dual career endeavor that you're embarking on. So you're working from 9 to 5. Okay, well, that means from 5 to 7, as soon as you're back home, you're prospecting. Whatever way that makes sense to you. Like when I was working at the shipyard, my shipyard laptop was open from 7 to 3:30. When 3:30 hit the clock, I shut that laptop, opened up my real estate laptop, started prospecting. Shooting social media videos, cold calling, sending out mailers, stuff like that. Whatever I could do to be known and liked by more people, that's what the agents need to start doing, right? They get into the business and they're like, how do I write an offer? How do I understand the contract? What about all the disclosure, stuff like that? Get someone in the door first. And then rely on your support system and make sure you've got a company that has a support system, right?
All right, guys. So realistically, it's 2026 right now. If you're that new agent getting in the game, and you're trying to have all the tools in your toolbox, knowing what you know now. I don't care if it's flipping, I don't care if it's traditional, whatever. What is that one thing that you wish you told yourself day one that everyone needs to know about right now? Chris, we're going to start with you.
Yeah, it needs to be identifying a schedule, right? You need to be focusing on the most dollar productive activities, right? So for agents, as an example here, they need to dial in on what hours they're going to have set aside for prospecting. One of the things that we talk about at our brokerage with any agent that comes in, we don't even consider them as part-time agents. We tell them from the jump, you're a dual career agent, right? They need to treat that. They need to treat this endeavor as a full-time thing if they want to go full-time in the business, because it's hard. And there's a lot of agents that just waste time thinking that they're productive when they're really not. And they need to sit in front of their schedule and say, hey, look, this is when I'm busy. This is when I'm not. What am I going to do in the period of time that I'm not busy? If you're dual career, you're working that 9 to 5. Okay, well, 5 to 7, you're prospecting in any way that is. Is it effective? Is it getting people in the door? Because that is the only way you're going to move forward in the business. A lot of agents will say, when they come in, we'll ask them what their job is, and they say to sell homes.
Right.
And we correct them and say, no, your job is to be known and liked by more people every single day. That is your primary job as a real estate agent, is to get more people in the door. David?
Do you have a comment on that?
No, I want to know what yours is, because scheduling is actually what I wasn't thinking, because based on where we were going, but it's vitally important, to be fair, because you can also schedule times to, I mean, there's so much stuff to schedule. Scheduling the intricate part, but I wasn't actually going there. Where I was going with the tools in the toolbox, you know, if you have more tools now, knowing that they're available, knowing what you know now, what tool would you want to learn almost day one outside of typical black and white real estate?
Psychology. You gotta learn how to talk to people, inspire confidence. You can be a brilliant agent that has memorized a contract from beginning to end, and if you're dry and boring, no one remembers you. No one comes back to you. People, there's always a person that can tell you like how to solve a problem. Right? I don't know. What do you do when the roof is in this? There's always someone in the office that knows how roofing works.
Yeah.
There's a home inspector to ask. But if you aren't someone that inspires confidence in the people that are around you, you're not getting clients. What I've been telling all the agents, and frankly, this is why the David Greene team shut down, is the agents didn't want to adapt, and I ended up being right. They got really spoiled when there was tons of transactions happening saying, I'm a listing agent. I'm a buyer's agent. I am a buyer's agent that specializes in this little community right here. That's all I do. Well, when houses are flying off the shelves, maybe you could get away with that. But when you see transactions dropping and the economy goes bad, what I believe every agent needs to understand is you are a real estate professional. You need to be able to buy and sell homes. You need to be able to know if this is an MLS home, if this is a off-market buyer list home, if this is a fix it up and sell it for more home, or if this is a slasher price, get out from under. You have to know, like, as if you own it yourself, how to recommend what people do. You also need to understand property management, and you need to be able to fund loans if you want to be a real estate professional. I like the agent who's like, look, I know how to do what I do well, and I can do this well, and I can do this well. You're a rock star, top producer, you're selling 10, 15 houses a month. Yeah, your plate's full with that. But if you're someone that does 2 deals a month, there's no reason that you can't get your loan officer's license and you can't do the loan on that and save them some money. If there's no reason you can't also be managing properties for other people that you help sell a house to and doing a really good job with it. And then when they want to list their house, they're already talking to you because you are the real estate professional that they know. I'll just wrap it up. Like, if you're busy, niche down on what you're good at. That is not 95% of the people they're not so busy every day.
No, absolutely not.
So you need to do more for less people instead of less for more people.
And I will say that I try to remind these agents, that you are no different than a server. You literally take a plate from here to here between the two parties. Like, that's it. You're in the service fucking industry.
That's true.
We all got the same finish line. That's about it. Now, what do you do with that money? Because, again, getting good at something also comes with more money, more luxuries, because that's what we tend to see. It's like you're used to living off $65,000. Now you made $180. What are you going to do with that extra cash?
Yep.
Right? Now that's your time to actually become an investor, really get into real estate, not just the service industry. And that's where they get it messed up.
That's where you get value to bring people.
Yeah.
Yes. I want to buy a car from a guy that knows a mechanic or used to race cars. He knows cars in and out. I don't want to buy a car from a smooth talking person that knows how to tell me what I want to hear and rip me off when I'm not paying attention. If you are the professional with this thing, you are in a better position to serve your clients. And I'll put a cherry on top. When you don't own any real estate at all and it's intimidating to you, you are forced to deceive people to appear like you're confident.
Yeah.
You don't actually know what a soffit is on a roof. You don't know what GFCI really means, right? Like, if they ask you, is that a problem because there's a crack in the plaster, and you don't know what a foundation problem looks like versus regular stuff, you have to lie. Now you feel like an imposter. Now you cry about, I feel like I have imposter syndrome and it's so hard. And your broker has to talk you off the ledge every day, right? Like, it's the same pattern that you see at people that suck in life. And they're usually, like you said, people that never went in and did it themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also quality over quantity, right? So as you can focus on being that quality professional, it's gonna come to you like by
Of
being
course, yeah.
consistent. You know what I'm saying?
That's it.
If the more consistent you are, it's funny. The more consistent you are, the luckier you get. It just happens
90%
that
of
way.
the business is going to go through the top 10% of the people.
Facts.
Yep.
Because they know what they're doing. And
Yep.
and I'll add on that. That's why I tell the new agents, stop talking about you know your worth when you don't have worth, because you don't know your worth. When you don't know anything, you need to be begging the top producers in the office, can I please go open doors for you? Can I put out your
Right.
open house signs? Can I put your house in the MLS for you and put the pictures in? Or what takes up all your time? Can I put your mailers together for you and send them out? All I ask is that you let me listen to you on the phone when they call you back.
Yep.
There's so many people that got a license that know nothing at all, that refuse to do anything if they don't get paid, that they never actually learn anything. Then you got people that are really good at what they do and they're overwhelmed. I don't know why we can't combine people. I think in the country in general, we used to have apprenticeships where you didn't know anything.
Yeah.
So you put a shoe on a horse for somebody, and then they maybe fed you lunch, and then you learn how horses worked at some point, right?
Sounds about right.
We got rid of all of
Yeah.
that. Like everybody's walking around with this false persona, like they're important,
Yeah.
when they don't know anything. And that's why our industry, I think, has such a bad reputation.
Takes one bad apple to ruin the bunch.
Of course.
But the thing is, the
Yeah.
bunch is still going to be there, but it's going to be a smaller one. And that's where it's like the quality over the quantity is. David, I think I can talk to you for 17 more hours, to be fair, and I think it would be an amazing conversation, but the battery won't hold up. So because of that, I'm going to transition to, dude, we need to know what projects you have coming up. Where can we find you? Most people watching this are going to know who you are. Same thing with you, Chris. You guys are partnering together. Just plug yourself so we can make sure we put it out there for you.
My podcast is called The David Greene Show. You can find it at Apple, Spotify, YouTube. My social media is at David Greene 24. But if you're somebody who is recognizing that maybe you've been lied to about what is important in life, or you're kind of scared because you see what's going on in the world, it's getting worse and worse and worse, and you're starting to wonder about faith, I run a free faith group, which is a form of a Bible study that we meet every Wednesday night. So anybody listening to this that wants to come, maybe you had a bad experience at church or you don't know what you believe about it, those are the people I'm looking for. I'm not looking for the people to show up and tell everybody how they're wrong about everything. But it's called Spartan League. You can send me a DM on Instagram. I'll give them the link. They're welcome to join.
Nice. That's awesome, dude. Mr. Lloyd.
Absolutely. You can reach me on social media at Chris Lloyd. That's LLOYD_real estate. Or you can shoot me an email at chris.lloyd@clret.com. But you can reach me better on social media.
I think it's the first time somebody's plugged their email. That's actually pretty smart. I think I'm going to start doing that too, dude. Shit goes to
I just
spam.
don't like putting my phone number out there.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. Unless it's your CRM phone
Mine's
number,
there.
and you're good.
Mine's there.
Edgar, where we at?
The VA agent on Instagram, Edgar Munoz on Facebook, 757-774-3473. Call me. Who gives a fuck? It goes straight to voicemail.
I thought
I
you
got it
better-
all set up.
I thought you were about to drop like a Mike Jones like reference when he's like still tipping. Anyways, the DJ in me. All right, guys. DJ Julian Rivera signing out. More importantly, is your Peak of Life podcast. Chris, David, thank you for being on the show today. Make sure you tune into them. I mean, you're gonna see what they're working on, bro. Seriously, and also author, tons of books. What's the book that you have coming out soon?
Yeah.
It'll be called The Sneaky Rental. How you can house hack a house every year.
Okay, but that's like, what number is that of books?
8 or 9.
Exactly. He can't even count no more. That's really cool, though. But that's dope because you pour out your heart and soul into this. It's not like you're just doing this on ChatGPT. You have this from experience, passion, love, loss, wins, the whole 9 yards. Cop those books. You can find it. Again, DJ Julian Rivera signing out. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow us, Your Peak Life Podcast, Apple Music, Spotify, and obviously you're watching us on YouTube. See you later. Deuces. Peace.
See you.